the cosmic pendulum, why reality always swings between opposites. Let's begin with a realization so profound it can shift the axis of your inner world. Everything you experience, every joy, every sorrow, every breath is caught between two forces. These are the dualities. They are not just concepts, they are the invisible architecture of all existence. They are the pulse of the universe, the inhale and exhale of spirit, the silence and the sound that shape all dimensions of consciousness. What if I told you that without these dualities, you wouldn't exist? Your thoughts, your identity, your beliefs, and even your suffering are all dancing between the poles of these forces. And the more aware you become of this dance, the more mastery you gain over your reality, not just in this world, but across all spiritual dimensions. As I journeyed into the deepest layers of meditation, in deserts, temples, and even abandoned forests, I began to see the patterns. It was never random. Every breakthrough I had spiritually was preceded by a breakdown. Every divine vision was preceded by a dark night of the soul. Every union required a separation. That's when I realized the universe is built on 7 fundamental dualities. And these dualities are not enemies. They are mirrors of each other, lovers, co-creators. One gives meaning to the other. You cannot understand light unless you've known darkness. You cannot know peace unless you've tasted chaos. So I ask you now, right here, which side of the pendulum are you on right now? Are you in expansion or contraction? Are you in love or fear? Are you creating or destroying? Because whether you realize it or not, you are aligned with one of these forces at all times, and that alignment is shaping your entire destiny. Let's take the first duality, light and darkness. It's the most obvious, yet the most misunderstood. Light is not good and darkness is not evil. That's a human projection. In the spiritual dimension, light is awareness. It's illumination. It's the knowing. And darkness? It's the unknown. It's the mystery. It's the womb of creation itself. We fear darkness because we can't control it. But without it, there is no growth. Seeds grow in the dark. Souls awaken in the silence. I once spent 7 days in pitch black isolation, no sound, no sight, no time. At first, I panicked. But slowly the darkness began to speak, not in words, but in pure presence. It wrapped around me like a second skin, and I realized this is where all things begin. Darkness is the mother of the universe. Why do we run from it? The second duality is movement and stillness. All things oscillate between these. The stars spin, the cells vibrate, the earth rotates. But in the center of all motion lies stillness, the eye of the hurricane, the silent breath between thoughts. In our lives, we're addicted to movement, chasing goals, chasing people, chasing validation. But what if true power comes from stillness? What if the greatest transformations happen not when you're doing more, but when you stop doing altogether? I challenge you. Can you sit in absolute stillness for 60 minutes? Not just physically, but mentally. Can you stop the inner chatter? Because once you do, you'll touch the dimension where time collapses. That's where you meet eternity. And it's always been waiting for you. Third, we encounter the duality of attachment and detachment. This one is subtle, and it rules the emotional dimension. We bind ourselves to people, identities, outcomes. We say, this is mine, this is who I am. But the more we hold on, the more we suffer. Detachment is not apathy. It's not cold indifference. It's the ultimate freedom. It's the ability to love fully without needing to possess. It's the art of being in the world but not of it. I once let go of everything, my name, my job, my home, my relationships, not to escape but to see what remained. And what remained was pure awareness, untouched by circumstance. That's when I knew what you truly are can never be lost. So what are you holding on to that is actually holding on to you? The fourth duality is creation and destruction. This is the force behind every cycle in life. We fear destruction, but forget that it is the soil of creation. Forests burn so they can regenerate. Old identities must die for new ones to emerge. Even stars collapse to form black holes, which in turn give birth to galaxies. I ask you now, what in your life is ready to be destroyed? What pattern, belief, or relationship needs to be burned to ashes so something more authentic can rise? When I learned to embrace destruction, I stopped resisting the seasons of my soul. I stopped fearing the end because I knew it was also the beginning. Can you find beauty in your collapse? The fifth duality is masculine and feminine. Not gender, these are archetypal energies. The masculine is direction, focus, structure. The feminine is flow, receptivity, chaos, and creation. Both exist within you, regardless of your body. But the imbalance of these forces creates suffering. When masculine dominates, we become rigid, cold, disconnected. When feminine overtakes, we drown in emotion, lose focus, spiral. The key is union. In all spiritual traditions, from Tantra to Taoism, enlightenment is the sacred marriage of these forces within. When your inner masculine holds your inner feminine, you become whole. You create without burnout. You lead with love. Which energy are you over-identifying with right now? What would happen if you balance the other? The sixth duality is time and timelessness. This is where spiritual practice often begins to shake our reality. We live in linear time, past, present, future. But in higher dimensions, time is fluid. It folds, it spirals. Mystics have long spoken of moments where the past reveals itself in the present, or where the future sends signals backwards. I've experienced these states. In deep meditation, time dissolves. Hours feel like seconds. You remember things that haven't happened yet. You touch the eternal now, and in that eternal now, all healing happens. All forgiveness occurs. All wisdom returns. What would you do differently if you knew that all time is happening now? The seventh and final duality, the one that encompasses all others, is self and no self. This is the ultimate paradox. We spend our lives cultivating a self, our stories, our desires, our goals. But every spiritual path eventually invites us to dissolve that self, to realize that you are not the wave, you are the ocean. The ego resists this because it feels like death, but it is actually liberation. When you lose yourself, you find the infinite. You become pure awareness, the witness, the field in which all things arise. I remember the moment I glimpsed it. It was during a 10-day silence retreat. On day 7, I didn't just feel connected to everything. I was everything. The trees, the wind, the birds, even the pain in my body, it was all one movement. The self had vanished, and in that vanishing there was only peace. Are you ready to let go of who you think you are? These 7 dualities are not just spiritual concepts. They are the levers of reality itself. They shape your choices, your relationships, your suffering, and your awakening. Most people are being swung by the pendulum, unconsciously tossed from one side to the other. But when you become aware, you don't just observe the pendulum, you become the force that swings it. That is mastery. Now ask yourself this: which of these dualities is currently dominating your life? And what would happen if you embraced its opposite? The hidden geometry of soul evolution, how dualities shape your destiny across lifetimes. When we start to see beyond the veil of this single lifetime, something extraordinary begins to unfold. We realize that the dualities are not just playing out in our current experiences, but are part of a vast, multi-dimensional curriculum for the soul. Each incarnation, each relationship, each success and failure is not random. It is a lesson crafted with surgical precision to teach us how to balance opposites. Just as a sculptor chisels away at marble to reveal form, the universe uses duality to carve the soul into its highest, most radiant expression. But most people resist the chisel. They cling to comfort, to their current identity, to what they think they know. And so, the lessons repeat, again and again, across lifetimes, until we finally say, I'm ready to see. I'm ready to grow. Once that declaration is made, the real journey begins, not just in this life, but across the entire arc of your soul's evolution. Each of the 7 dualities we explored in Part 1 becomes a cosmic template for your growth. For example, if you are overly attached in one life, obsessed with control or materialism, you may incarnate in the next life with intense poverty or loss, not as punishment, but as a rebalancing. The soul doesn't care about comfort, it cares about wholeness. If you were a tyrant in one life, you may return as someone who must learn submission and humility. If you rejected your feminine side, you may come back in a body or situation that forces you to rediscover it. Over time, across many lifetimes, these dualities begin to harmonize within you. You stop swinging from one extreme to the other. You become centered, integrated. You become what ancient mystics call balanced light, a soul that has danced in both fire and water and now glows with inner equilibrium. But here's the deeper question: what lesson is your soul trying to master right now? This is where karma and dharma intersect. Karma is not just about consequences, it's about correction. It's the universe gently nudging you toward balance. Dharma, on the other hand, is your sacred responsibility to accelerate that balance. When you align with your dharma, you stop reacting blindly to the pendulum of duality and start using it consciously. You begin to live with intention, knowing that even painful experiences are part of a divine recalibration. I once met a woman in India who had lost everything: her child, her husband, her health. She told me, with tears in her eyes, I thought I was cursed, but now I see I was being prepared. Her suffering had activated a level of compassion and strength in her that she never knew existed. That's the hidden geometry of the soul. It expands through contrast. It evolves through paradox. It grows through pain. So ask yourself, what if your current struggle is your soul's greatest classroom? One of the most mysterious aspects of this journey is how dualities are encoded into our relationships. Have you ever met someone who triggered you intensely, or who felt incredibly familiar, even though you just met? That's not coincidence. It's resonance. Souls travel in clusters like stars forming constellations, and often we reincarnate with the same beings again and again to explore the same dualities from different angles. A parent who was overly controlling in one life may return as your child in this one. A lover who betrayed you may reappear as a spiritual teacher. Every dynamic is an invitation to heal, to balance, to transcend. But that only happens if we stop blaming and start seeing the deeper patterns, seeing the geometry beneath the drama, seeing the sacredness in every encounter. Because once you do, even your enemies become your greatest allies in evolution. Who in your life right now is actually your mirror? Now let's go even deeper. Duality doesn't just exist in your outer world. It's encoded in your energy body, your chakras, your subtle anatomy, your breath. In Eastern traditions, the left and right channels of the body, Ida and Pingala, represent the feminine and masculine currents. These energies spiral around the central channel, Sushumna, which is the path to enlightenment. When these dual forces are out of balance, you feel fragmented, anxious, reactive. But when they harmonize, the central channel opens and Kundalini rises. This isn't just mystical poetry, it's a real energetic process. I've felt it. I've watched it rise through my spine like a serpent of light, unlocking memories, visions, and truths I didn't know I carried. This is why spiritual practices like breathwork, yoga, and deep meditation exist, not to escape duality, but to awaken within it, to ride the currents of polarity into the center, where the soul becomes fully embodied. Have you ever truly felt your energy in motion, or have you only known your mind? But here's the paradox. As your soul evolves, the dualities don't disappear, they intensify. The more light you carry, the more shadow you must integrate. The more love you open to, the more heartbreak you risk. This is the great irony of growth. Many seekers think awakening will lead to peace, but real awakening leads to more responsibility, more contrast, more inner work. The difference is you now welcome it. You now see every challenge as a door, not a wall. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this showing me about myself? That question alone can shift lifetimes of suffering. Because at the core of every duality is a secret key. And that key is awareness. Once you become aware of the force at play, it begins to loosen its grip. You are no longer a puppet of polarity. You become the observer, the alchemist, the one who can hold contradictions in your heart without needing to resolve them. That is spiritual maturity. Finally, let's talk about choice. Because awareness without action is just another form of avoidance. Once you see the dualities, once you understand their impact, you must choose how to engage with them. This is where free will meets destiny. You can choose to lean into discomfort. You can choose to forgive. You can choose to let go of control. You can choose to walk away from toxic patterns, even if they are familiar. Every choice you make is either reinforcing imbalance or restoring harmony. And the more you choose balance, the more your reality begins to shift. Not just your outer circumstances, but your vibration, your frequency, your timeline. Yes, your timeline. Because choice is not linear, it's quantum. Every time you choose love over fear, presence over reaction, stillness over chaos, you are literally jumping timelines. You are entering a parallel version of yourself who is more aligned, more awake, more whole. So I ask you one final question for this part. What timeline are you choosing today? The spiritual battlefield within. How to master the inner fight between opposing forces. There comes a moment on every spiritual path when the war shifts inward. It's no longer about external challenges or cosmic patterns. It's about what happens when you realize the battlefield is your own mind, heart, and soul. It's about waking up at 3 a.m. with a storm raging inside you, one voice pulling you toward love, another dragging you into fear, one whisper telling you to let go, another screaming to hold on tighter. This is not weakness. This is not failure. This is the sacred conflict. The very presence of these opposing forces inside you is proof that you are evolving, because only those who are waking up can feel the tension between the old self and the emerging self. This inner tension is not an obstacle. It is your spiritual gym, the place where your soul gets stronger, the crucible where clarity is forged. And to navigate this battlefield, you must stop identifying with either side. You must become the observer, the silent witness who sees both voices and chooses neither, yet understands both. One of the most profound realizations I ever had came in the middle of a fast. I hadn't eaten in 5 days, and my mind was in chaos. I wanted to quit. My body ached. My emotions were all over the place. But then, in that moment of weakness, I noticed something. There was a space inside me that wasn't reacting. It wasn't hungry. It wasn't afraid. It was just still. I realized that within every duality, pain and pleasure, doubt and faith, there is a third force, awareness. That awareness is not neutral in the sense of apathy, it is transcendent. It sees the suffering, but it is not consumed by it. It allows the fight, but it does not join it. And from that space, I felt something shift. I wasn't the hunger. I wasn't the fear. I was the space they were moving through. That's when I truly understood. Spiritual mastery isn't about eliminating struggle. It's about remembering who you are while you struggle. So, who are you when the storm hits? In every duality, there is a seduction. One force wants to dominate. It wants to convince you that it is right, that it is true, that it is you. For example, fear pretends to be wisdom. Anger pretends to be protection. Desire pretends to be purpose. And if you're not vigilant, you will get pulled into the illusion. You will think, this is me. This is what I believe. This is what I need. But stop. Breathe. Ask yourself, who is the one observing this emotion? Who is the one hearing this thought? That question alone can free you from lifetimes of unconscious reaction. Because the moment you remember that you are the observer, not the content, you reclaim your power. You can feel anger without becoming violent. You can feel fear without becoming paralyzed. You can feel longing without abandoning your center. This is what ancient warriors knew. The real battle is never outside. It's in the space between the trigger and your response. That space is where your freedom lives. Let's talk about temptation. Not in the religious sense, but in the spiritual sense, because every duality contains a temptation. The temptation of light is superiority. You feel spiritually awakened, and suddenly you think you're above others. The temptation of darkness is despair. You feel pain, and you think it's permanent. The temptation of stillness is stagnation. The temptation of movement is restlessness. The temptation of detachment is numbness. The temptation of attachment is obsession. These are subtle traps, and most people fall into them without even noticing. But here's the key. Every temptation is actually a lesson in disguise. It only exists to show you where you're still unconscious. So instead of judging yourself for falling into the same patterns, ask, what is this pattern trying to teach me? What lie am I believing about myself right now? Because every time you fall, you are being given another chance to rise with more awareness, more humility, more grace. Now consider this. The dualities are not just forces to be balanced. They are invitations to alchemize. Alchemy is the ancient practice of turning lead into gold. But spiritually, it means turning pain into wisdom, fear into love, shadow into power. And you do this not by denying one side of the duality, but by integrating it. Integration is the hidden art of the awakened soul. It's when you stop pushing parts of yourself away and start saying, even this belongs, even the anger, even the doubt, even the part of you that still wants to escape. When you bring those parts into the light of awareness, they stop controlling you. They become allies. They become energy you can use. I've sat with addicts, monks, CEOs, shamans, and I can tell you, the most powerful people are not those who have eliminated their darkness. They are the ones who have become intimate with it, the ones who have danced with their shadow, not run from it. So, what part of yourself are you still trying to exile? This inner fight is not a one-time event. It is a cycle. It will repeat in new forms as you grow, but each time it returns, you're different. More aware, more anchored, more capable of choosing from the center, not the extremes. And that's the mark of a true spiritual warrior. Not someone who avoids conflict, but someone who meets it with presence. Someone who can hold paradox without collapsing. Someone who can say, yes, I feel fear, but I will still act from love. That is the greatest power you will ever learn. Because when you can do that, you're no longer ruled by the pendulum. You become the axis it swings around. You become the calm in the chaos, the eye in the storm. And from that place, you don't just survive life, you shape it, you sculpt it, you serve it. Not from ego, but from essence. Because now, you are no longer fighting duality. You are dancing with it. So here we are, you and I, standing in the center of this great inner battlefield. But now, armed with awareness, you don't need to pick a side. You don't need to win. You just need to wake up, to see the forces at play, to breathe through the intensity, to choose your response. And in doing so, you master the game, not by escaping it, but by playing it differently. That's the secret the mystics knew. That's the art the sages practiced. And now it's your turn. So I leave you with this question. What would your life look like if you stopped choosing sides and started choosing presence instead?